what you're gonna walk into.
The regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Lufkin Independent School District is called to order at 5:15 p.m. Notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, and a quorum of the board is present. I'll ask everyone to rise for our invocation. I'll also ask Mr. Caesar if he would voice that for us.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God in heaven, we come to you in prayer. Our Father, we approach your throne humbly. We're thankful for all the many blessings you've allowed us to have. And during this month of Thanksgiving, we have so much to be thankful for. We're thankful for this opportunity to serve this community in our positions. And as always, Father, we pray that we make decisions that are in the best interest of the students, of the parents, of the faculty and staff, rather than our own. Father, we pray all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. And for our pledges, I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
all right, thank you. You may be seated. I want to thank everyone who has chosen to spend their time here with us this evening to observe us doing business for Lufkin ISD and making decisions that will impact our future for our community. I thank you for investing that time. Number 5, comments from the audience. We do have a community member who has requested to speak to the board tonight, and I do have a statement that I need to read out ahead of time. In a limited public forum, the primary purpose is to provide and allow the board members to openly discuss and vote on board business as established by the posted agenda. In this context, the public is afforded a specific but limited opportunity to be heard during the designated time and place in the meeting as established by the agenda and as controlled by the presiding officer of the board. The First Amendment protects the public's right to attend the open session of school board meetings, but does not guarantee the right to speak at such meetings. The opportunity to speak in the public comment time at the open session of a board meeting is established by the applicable provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.015 defines open as open to the public, which means that the public is permitted to attend the meeting. The public comment section of the board agenda is intended to focus on school matters. It is designed for the specific purpose of allowing members of the public to address the board on issues within the purview and control of the Board of Trustees. The board has adopted reasonable rules regarding the public's right to address the board during the public comment section of the agenda. The rules regarding the public's right to address the board during public comment are found on the district's website on the Board of Trustees page under the heading Public Comment at Meetings. And we have with us Pamela Jackson. If you would go ahead and come up. I know you've spoken to the board before, and as you know, Janae will issue the time warning for you.
Okay, so let's see. Though when I've spoken before this board, it's never like this evening. I have always been very candid about saying what I think will be better not only for my kids, other students, but also the staff in both Lufkin Middle and Lufkin High School. I would like to take this time to commend and thank and acknowledge these individuals for their transparency and communication and willingness to just hear me out since moving to this area. First, Mr. Wayne Haglund, former Lufkin High School principal and executive director of operations and safety, Dr. Emmons, Mr. Mathis over at ACE, Ms. Dana Bickley, former Lufkin Middle Assistant Principal Matt Varner, Mr. Mahadas, Mr. Kendall, Ms. Deason, Amanda Venegas, Ms. Layton, Mr. Gorham, Mr. Kraft, Dr. Hockenberry, Ms. Murphy, and Ms. Hill over at the high school. And last but not least, Dr. Daniel Spikes. The communication and transparency from each of you is and has been very much appreciated from me, from this very concerned parent and community member. I am very hopeful right now for the kids in the district especially, and just hope that the communication and transparency becomes more of what Lufkin ISD is recognized for and not the continued opposite. I would also look forward to the district expanding family and community partnerships.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Also, just from our standpoint, thank you for serving on our safety committee. I know this is your second year to do that, and you've been very diligent in your attendance and comments, and we appreciate the investment of your time in that. Okay. Next item, number 6, administrative reports. This is for information only. I'll first call for the superintendent's office report for Dr. Hockenberry.
Well, I have nothing of substance tonight in my report. The agenda is full of information that will more than cover the things in the business of the school. However, this is the day before that leads up to the Thanksgiving holidays. And I know the district is very thankful for the students, the staff, and the opportunity to serve and make a difference in the lives of people. That's my report.
All right. Thank you so much. Next up, we would like to hear from Mr. Redington with the business office report.
All right, the financial reports will begin on page 6. We will start seeing a much greater increase in revenue as the new levies have been sent out for the property taxes. Right now, we are a third of the way through the school year, but as you can see, our expenditures are less than that right now, so we're in a good place. We're also maintaining just under 80% for our salaries, so that's a good metric that you want to stay under. The investments page is on page 12. So we have a total of about $34 million in our funds, and we have roughly 28.8 of that in our general fund. And of that, 61% is in our investments taxable account. On page 13, we start our tax collection reports. As I mentioned, the 25 levy will be going out, or it has gone out. So we'll start seeing those collections coming in starting in the November report. And so once those come in, those percentages of collection will start adjusting accordingly. Anybody have any questions on any of that? All right, on page 14, we have the update for the SAFE grant awards. We have roughly $170,000 in current projects that we're working on right now, and then we do plan on using a portion of those funds for the weapon detections system that we're looking at implementing. And then the rest of it, we have plans for as far as different items that still needed to make sure that we're up to code on the safety plans for the state of Texas. On page 16, we have the capital outlay update. The only changes to this is that we have ordered the maintenance floor machines, so you'll see that item added on there, that was on there in the past report. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Up next, we have Dr. Caruso with the Innovation Office. He will be giving us the report for the quality seats analysis and a STEM elementary update.
Thank you, President Gay. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Hockenberry, and all those with us tonight. Tonight, we'll be going over some data sets tied to our quality seat analysis. And so some of the terminology we'll be using may be new to some individuals, and it's part of the Texas Education Agency's process underneath the system of great schools, which under the visionary work of our board and superintendent, we became part of this year. So what is the system of great schools? The system of great schools is really a network of school districts working together with one purpose, and that is using a problem-solving approach to make change for our students, to ensure that every student, every day is served, and we are providing the services and instruction that our school families want and need. As you can see, Lufkin right there marked on the map, we are one of the 26 active SGS districts in the state of Texas, serving together as a network over 800,000 students. So a lot of the work with the system of great schools is really tied to continuous improvement. And it happens over time. We're always evaluating, we're always looking at the data to identify opportunities for continued improvement. And how we do that is through the lens of the district mission and vision that's set by our school board, as well as a North Star goal, that goal that we're striving towards. Just as early explorers followed the North Star, that leads us in all of our decisions and choices. Next, we look at our district goals. Those are also known often as House Bill 3 goals, tied specifically to reading and math outcomes for our students, as well as college, career, and military readiness, are also known as CCMR. Connected to that is our progress measures. Each of our departments and school leaders, which many are with us tonight, have specific targets as part of their improvement plans, as part of the work that they're doing to drive improvements in the district. And that all becomes part of this process, as well as the individual supports identified to help ensure that we reach our mission, vision, and North Star goal. Our board has been meeting with various representatives from TEA and the System of Great Schools, and really looking at our mission and vision and creating a draft to help guide us forward. And so as you can see, this what's up on the board is the current vision mission. It's also been shared with our principals and leadership teams as we review what does that mean to be in Lufkin ISD and what guides us forward. And so you can see there preparing every student for success in career, in college, in military, entrepreneurship, and for resiliency in life, really focusing on the whole child approach. Additionally, our mission is to educate and equip all students for academic success through exceptional learning experiences and a culture of high expectations for all students. Our board has also developed a draft North Star goal that by 2030, Lufkin ISD will increase the percentage of students in A and B schools, where we currently are at 47%, to 100%, that every student should be in an A and B quality seats, and that we will reduce the number of D and F schools, which we have 0F, 1D, from 13% to 0%, and by contrast, you can also see the next goal ties to this with the schools specifically, ensuring that our schools are A and B schools and increasing that number to 100% from 7 schools to 12 schools. So this is really presentation is part of a 2-part presentation. And so the first one is the quality seat analysis, which we're doing today. This is reviewing the key data and critical opportunities that came about. And so we used a number of things. We used data, for the hard data from lots of different sources, as well as qualitative data, as we spoke with administrators, as we spoke with district leaders and the community. And so we're going to review some of that data tonight. What we'll be bringing forward in the future is the annual school plan. And that is, so we'll be looking at what the data says, and then we'll be saying these are the next steps that we will take as the path moves forward. And so the components of our quality seat analysis are really tied to these 4 elements: academic data, community input, demographic data, and long-term trends. And so as we go through this data tonight, there'll be opportunities for further engagement in it, and I'll also be sharing where publicly we have a dashboard currently live on our website for our entire community to go in and really dive in, and we want to hear feedback. What are opportunities you see within the data sets? And so let's start with A through F accountability. As you can see from this chart, on the left-hand side, we have the distribution of our schools. So 47% of our schools are B seats. So that was tied to that North Star goal of students being in A and B seats. Well, when you look on the opposite side, you'll see that we have 57% of our students. So, and that's tied to also our enrollment at each of the schools, with our high school contributing to a large number of students. And so the breakdown is by the academic letter grade by the school. You will see that there is a 7% there that's not rated. That's really speaking to the JJAP, which is not rated campus. Moving into the distribution based on levels, we can see that our middle school is currently a C campus, that's 100% of our students. Our high school is a B campus. And when we look at the elementary levels, that's where there is more variability, with 45% of our elementaries being B seats, 36% C, and 18% that D. And these numbers actually have decreased this year with the work of the transition of students into other higher performing schools as we closed the 2 schools last year. Now we look at the data also by demographic groups. And as you look across this data, you'll see that it's pretty level. So these first 3 are ethnicity. And so we can see that students who are African American, we have 53% of those students who are in B seats, 61% of our Hispanic Latino population, 57% of our white. And then the last column is students who are economically disadvantaged based on free or reduced lunch. So the vast majority of all of our students are in B and C seats, with 7 to 8% of our students in the D campus. Again, this data has actually dropped as we transition students into higher performing schools. The next data set is looking at accountability score changes. So looking at year over year. And this might help because I know I've been pointing with the laser pointer, but you probably are seeing the other side. So here you can see these are all schools in the green that had growth. And then our Lufkin High School, as far as the overall accountability score, stayed the same, still a B. And then we had 4 schools who did drop slightly, 2 percentage points on the accountability rating. Also, one thing you'll notice is down in this lower hand corner, there's these little targets. And so this is, as we've had conversations about the data, what are things that we can do to improve quality seats? And so one of those elements that we're seeing is the opportunity for us to transition to a K-5 design model. And this will be compounded as you look at other elements within the data that further point to that need. So as we look at this data set, you'll see that this is the rating for 2025. So that's the data that came out in August for our school ratings. Here are all of our schools who are B-rated campuses and the enrollment capacity based on last year. So that was the enrollment that those campuses had on snapshot day and for those students that were part of that rating. And you can see a lot of growth. Our schools grew across the board with just Lufkin High School not having a change in the accountability, but all the rest grew an entire letter grade. Looking at the next letter, looking at C, we also had growth. So we had growth at Brook Hollow as well as Trout in improving their academic ratings, an entire letter grade year over year, with Anderson and Lufkin Middle School staying the same rating. And then Hurdy is one of our tiered support schools, and it stayed the same from last year. And so a lot of work is being funneled in to help improve and ensure strong academic outcomes for all those students. So let's take a look at STAR performance. So this chart is showing STAR performance by school. You'll also see yellow is Texas. You have Region 7, which is a region that we are in, and then Lufkin ISD as a whole. Really looking at the data set, that what comes out is that currently as a district, we're trailing the state by about 11 points and the region by 9 points. And this is looking at 3 through 8 math overall. So as you look at those combined scores, again, pointing to the need that could help support improvements in the instruction would be a vertically aligned curriculum, consistent use of high quality resources, really focused support and helping our teachers and support our teachers during these early grade levels, especially in math and reading. So this next one, we're going to see very similar trends. This is 3 through 8 reading, and you see that we are trailing the state by 10 percentage points and the region by 8 percentage points. Looking at the end of course, what you'll see on this slide is each of the individual tests on the left-hand side. So it outlines the long-term trajectory for each of the different EOC or end of course tests. And so, again, opportunities with alignment starting from grade levels, elementary through middle through high, and having an aligned curriculum can greatly address those scores and lead to improvements. How does that compare to the region and the state? And so here you can see that broken down. Same exact data we looked at the last slide, but here it's comparing and bringing in the region and the state. And so while both in biology and U.S. history, we either met or exceeded our regional averages, there's still gaps for us to rise above the state. And that can help happen through enhanced instructional coherence and early intervention. And I know that's work currently underway by our principal, Ms. McManus. I know she is here, as she's looking at really looking at the schedule and looking at opportunities for intervention during the school days to help support instruction. So let's talk about enrollment trends. This data set comes from the transfer report that's issued annually. And I know last year there was some conversation as we looked at enrollment trends with Zonda, and you saw some of the conversation around transfers. This data looks at 24-25, which is the newest data set from last year, and then compared against the first year after the pandemic. So, as we compare, there was a huge change across the country due to the pandemic, a lot of shifts in enrollment and the types of schooling that parents engaged in. And so that becomes a good baseline for us. We can see that in 21-22, we had 85% of the market share. So that means students that are enrolled in public schools, and whether that be an ISD, a charter, they're captured in this data set. So what's not captured in this data set are others that may be going to private schools, that may be going to homeschool. And so when we look at those numbers and we see that we've lost 1,515 students, those are students actively being served in either ISD or not in some of our surrounding ISDs or in a charter in our area. The charts at the top show the difference. And so one thing I do want to point out with the data set for the levels is it's based on when they leave. So it's not saying that of those that are in charter, 67% of our kids are in charters and they're in primary. When they left us, it was in primary. So they're continued to show up in the data set based on the last school that they were enrolled in our district. And so, again, the vast majority, almost 70% of the students left during the primary grade levels. So they were enrolled in one of our primaries and left. Again, showing the opportunity for us to really look at a K-5 model that helps support students where they have less transitions between schools and grade levels. 19% were middle and 9% elementary, only 5% in high school. On the other side, you can see that it's more balanced across the enrollment loss that we lose to other districts in our surrounding areas. Some of these might be teachers that have their kids, and as they move and teach in other districts, even though they're living here in the Lufkin ISD boundaries, they bring their students with them. But the number is larger that would justify that. So as you can see, we currently have 713 transfers out to other districts and 811 to charters.
So that primary number, the 67%, that does not include kids that were never enrolled in kindergarten with us? Or does it include that number? You know what I mean? Like, because some people opt to send their kids to a Christian private school that I won't say the name out loud. You know what I mean? But so they do that sometimes for the elementary years. So does that 67 capture that?
They were never enrolled with us, so they will not show up in that data set.
Okay.
So if we look at the specific charters, we can see their total enrollment because it's registered with the state, and so we know what percentage of those did leave from us. So some of them may be from other districts in our surrounding area, but they may be students that directly went into the charter instead of coming into Lufkin ISD first.
Okay.
I do have a question. Is there a way for us to look at other districts and maybe even the state to see how we compare? Like, is this normal that 80% or 20% of the students are going elsewhere, or are we an exception? Because I think that matters, right? If the average is 95% and we're at 80, that shows that from a competitive standpoint, we're not competitive at all. So it'd be more important, at least for me, to see the local district around us.
And we can begin to work on that data set. Specifically, are you think comparable districts in our size? And across the state and how their numbers compare to our numbers?
Yes.
Yes, we'll go ahead and work on that report.
Do we know what grade they're leaving in? Because I think some of the data before it showed they leave between that primary and elementary year. Is that what makes up the majority of that 67%?
Yeah, so we have deeper analysis as well that we can go by school and the grade levels that they left within our own Skyward. As far as that data by student is masked at the state level, but because we do have access to that, it's a dashboard we're able to build. And we do see a lot of it is that transition between the levels. And that is very common. A lot of times when parents are making decisions, especially for charters, they're starting to look at options when their kids are changing, because the relationship that gets built between the principal and the school and the culture, they feel, that they feel connected, and now that connection is going away with the transition. So by going to K-5, it helps eliminate one of those transitions. And we were actually in a conversation this morning with Ms. Lyles about the STEM program, and that very thing was brought up by one of the parents.
And last thing, and I promise I'll be quiet. And this may not be a question for you, maybe Dr. Hockenberry or someone else, but have we ever had a campaign to reach out to people who have left the district to figure out why? Is it safety? Is it quality of education? Is it quality of facilities? There's a reason why they're not here. So I'm not sure if we've ever done that or if we'd be willing to do it in the future.
I'm not aware of one, but it is, the questions will eventually be asked and need to be asked on the why. Most of our responses to that are based on assumptions and small conversations over a period of time. We would need some hard data before we start declaring any kind of real reason for leaving.
And as we move into the next presentation, we will start to share with you the annual school plan, and that will say these are the steps that we're taking based on this data set. TIA designation is another. We know retention of our staff and hiring of highly qualified teachers is one of the priorities of our board. And so here we wanted to highlight some of the great data that does show up in the data set. So here you can see the number of the campus enrollment as well as the number of eligible teachers within our plan. So really focused on those, the reading and math, and then the number of teachers who actually were designated. So very high percentage of our teachers are being designated as TIA. As we look down, you can see here that these have no teachers that are designated. And that's because currently our TIA plan does not, our teacher incentive allotment, I apologize, teacher incentive allotment plan does not cover the primary grade levels. And it does focus on reading and math. So there's an opportunity there as well to expand, which I know administration and the committees have been looking at to expand those opportunities. But it is a celebration that's currently in Lufkin ISD. We have 53 TIA designated teachers. And as you look at the chart on the upper right, you can see that the vast majority of them are master and exemplary, which are the highest levels of TIA.
And I just want to confirm, I think you just said that, but here in Lufkin, we did not expand it to include things, for instance, fine arts, something beyond the core subjects. Okay.
Yes, so every year we're able to update our TIA plan, and it's something that really needs to be done in steps, because each expansion, there's like a 2-year block of it. You're collecting data and then the payout comes. So as you go through and add layers to our TIA plan, there's specific time in the year we can do that. And it's a committee process as well, where we bring teachers into those conversations, and I know both Ms. Tierney and Ms. Sladen have both led a lot of that work.
It seems like it's been a while since we've received a really deep information report on the TIA. I would like to see that, maybe sometime in the spring. It's not urgent, it's just to re-educate us. I don't know, Erica and Melinda, have y'all ever seen a report on this at the board level?
Yes, when we were sitting out there.
Oh, okay.
During our campaign was actually.
There are some state changes too, with an additional level added, so it would be great for us to be able to share that information with you.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
We do, and I know Dr. Parasol mentioned this, there's such a, we plan on, as much as we can, rapidly expanding TIA because of the way the system is designed and the further emphasis on TIA at the state level and the results and outcomes as a result. And we have such a large group of gifted educators throughout our spectrum, K-12 and various subject areas, that we're at a place now where we, as much as we can, we need to capture all of that great teaching and make sure that they're recognized and receive the benefits of those designations.
Great.
Next, we're going to go into community input. So we recently, a few weeks ago, launched a survey to our community that focused on STEM as well as innovative school models that our community might be interested in. And so you can see the question up there. As we look to expand student choice and opportunities, what programs are they interested in? As you can see in the data, the vast majority, the strongest areas of interest was PTEC Early College Program, which really focuses on CTE. So as we have currently an early college program where students are getting associate's degrees, the PTEC version allows also to focus on level 1 certifications. Many students who may be interested in going right into the career world and leaving with that certification. And so there is a very large interest. As you can see, 95% of our community is highly interested in that. Also, you can see very popular is a Fine Arts Academy. A lot of desire for a Fine Arts Academy, as followed by online school choice and transfer application, which the exciting news is we are about to launch that here in January, and then a virtual hybrid learning academy. And we do have several students that are part of the virtual program right now. Additionally, we wanted to learn more about STEM and their interest in STEM. And as you can see, parents want STEM. They are very excited about the opening of Brook Hollow STEM Elementary and the potential for other opportunities for STEM like we already have at our high school, and the STEM opportunities at all levels. So you can see there that it was only 1% that felt that STEM was not important, and only 3% said slightly important. The next section is the top 3. So they were able to select which of the 3 things were most important to them. And so you can see the results of that. So like 67% of families said that hands-on project-based learning was important to them, and real-world applications, career connections. And in just a few minutes, Ms. Lyles is going to be coming up and sharing that this survey and what our parents are asking for is exactly the program that's being built at Brook Hollow. Next is facility snapshot and data deep dive. And what we want to show you is how this data dashboard is available on our website. There's tons of data that we compressed, and it was work of a lot of individuals, especially Ms. Gaston, who really built an amazing dashboard beyond what most districts have over the last few months. So we want to show the community how to access that. And so when you go to our district website, you go to departments, and under the Office of Innovation, there it is, you'll be able to pull up this dashboard, as well as a little bit more information about what SGS is and innovation. You'll see right there, Lufkin ISD Quality Seat Analysis Dashboard. So, and this is open to everyone. They just go right in. In here, they'll be able to take deeper dives. So they'll be able to sort. This first one is showing our campuses, their locations, everything's color-coded. They can search by campus, by school types if they want to look at levels. Looking at the academic ratings, they can zoom in and out of the map. And so there's lots of pieces, and this chart, it keeps going on and on. But we did want to share a couple of the tabs. The campus overview. The campus overview is powerful. You're able to go by campus specifically, look at accountability over time. Also, one of the really cool features is the facility updates. And as we explore a bond option, you can see for each school when different facility upgrades have happened, and where many of these things that we think of, as homeowners, like AC units that we know we need to replace every, 10, 15 years, where the need is real across our schools. And also it gives information about demographics, enrollment trends. So lots of great information within this tab. Also tied to that is our facilities overview. That tab, you'll be able to go in and see the year that the schools were built. Here you can see, and everything's you're able to toggle on and off, as well as what improvements or updates have been made. So, looking at Lufkin Middle School, you can filter down specifically to those school types, and everything changes based on that. And then transportation is also here, another element within the bond. Through the audit that was done, you can see the number of buses that we have, only 4 that are in excellent condition, 4 that are good, and a large number that are in need of service. And when you think about how far our buses drive every day, they've hit their lifespans and they need replacement. And so you can see here 240,000 miles, and it goes bus specific. You can see when it was purchased as well. So we have a lot of our vehicles who are towards the end of their use life. So we don't have time tonight, but there's lots of all these tabs that our community can dive into as part of our work to be transparent and share the insights we're seeing, as well as what we want to hear from the community, from their ideas as well. So we talked a lot today across a lot of different data. The big 4 themes that came up throughout all of the data sets and the qualitative review we did with administrators as well as school leaders is the need for curriculum alignment all the way up from K through high school, the need for K-5 continuity where we're losing students, the need for additional innovative learning opportunities, as you saw, the desire for P-Tech and fine arts and so forth, school choice, giving our families more access to school choice and transfers, as well as the need to increase TIA and really focus on recruitment and retention. So what's next? A lot of data conversation. So next we will go through and we'll start tiering our campuses based on this data. And that work is already actually underway. We continue to collect community input. And then we'll develop the annual school plan, which will be completed in December. And so we're right in line with, this is directly from the Texas Education Agency and the System of Great Schools. We're right here between October and November where you're doing your quality seed analysis. December is when you get into the annual school plan, and then we'll start working on those actual school actions to help launch them. And then that's across multiple years. And so the exciting thing is we have one of the annual school action plans that is in the works, and that is our STEM elementary school. And so I'd like to ask Mrs. Lyles to come up. I know she has some exciting updates to share with everyone tonight.
Good evening. So what I've been doing for the past 5 months, if anyone's wondering, is figuring out the what and the why of why we're doing this. I've been working with 5 different principals from around the state. We're coached by the School Empowerment Network, and we started at the foundation, which is your mission statement. So this is a proposed mission statement that I came up with over 3 long days in Houston. At Brook Hollow Elementary, every learner grows into confident problem solvers, prepared to engineer innovative solutions by clearly expressing ideas and applying critical thinking skills through hands-on learning and exploration, preparing them for post-secondary readiness in a thriving community and limitless future. So it's pretty much everything in the graph that he just showed you. Why STEM? Why do we need it right now? Because we're in a situation where the world is moving faster than us. And we owe it to our kids to provide them the opportunity to be a part of that, to build those critical thinking skills through that project-based learning, through problem solving and creativity, and being able to think analytically, being able to be innovative, and being able to be competitive, and being able to adapt and adjust. so they can thrive in this world. This is one of those things, Ms. Green and I, and then others went and saw Project Lead the Way the other day. I've seen this in action. I've seen these kids at other schools, kids that look like our kids in kindergarten who have vocabularies bigger than third graders, who can sit and explain to you as they're working, whatever they're working. This is what happens when you add this to this. It adds more gases, or it adds more solids, or it adds more. And listening to kids speak was probably the most amazing thing that I saw, because these children know how to communicate. And these days, that is one of the hardest things as educators we have, is to teach children how to communicate with each other, how to collaborate with each other. And this is the basis of this. To get them ready for post-secondary, start them young. I spent some time with the high school STEM with a class in the high school, and I asked them, if you would have had this when you started, how would it have changed your path? And they said the exposure to more opportunities, the exposure to people coming and talking to them about STEM being beyond doctors and engineers, because engineers is broad, doctors are broad, and a lot of our kids aren't exposed to anything more than being a doctor. They don't know the vast amount of things that fall into that medical field. And they said, if I'd have had that younger, it would have given me a clearer path, and it would have given me the knowledge to know that taking algebra is it's important. It's important to take it in 8th grade. And I need to take these courses, and I need to do these things. The biggest thing out of this is we've talked to some businesses in Austin. It's this, and it's learning those STEM fluency skills of collaborating and communicating. Those are what businesses are looking for. We owe it to our kids to provide them the opportunity to have this kind of a future. So we have partnered with with Project Lead the Way. The high school already has Project Lead the Way at their campus. It is a nationally recognized curriculum. We have a team working to take our curriculum, align the projects through our science teams. We are going to dedicate a STEM lab just for Project Lead the Way, where these kids can tackle real world challenges. They can problem solve. They can learn how to, what we've called since I've started this, fail forward. Figure out what have I done wrong? How do I fix it? And how do I do it and do it well and adapt to change? And then our plans are to update our media center to include a robotics and coding lab. And eventually down the road, we've looked at 4-H, we've looked at Lego. Lego has a great robotics program where kids can compete and can compete nationally. And so today was our last community meeting, probably the best one. Lots of great input, lots of great questions. The survey will close tomorrow. We'll take that information and we'll use that information to make adjustments to our plans and to make further plans. In January, the choice application zone seats will start. Brook Hollow students will have first choice. Brook Hollow zone students will have first choice, and then after that, it'll be a lottery system to fill the rest of the seats. But it will be open to everyone. There's not a test in. This is a STEM for all. It's for every student in this district, because every student in this district, they deserve it. So this is our last thing. We decided that we needed a new face. So we kept the tradition and the legacy of the Brook Hollow Beaver. But I challenged my instructional coach, Taylor Green, to create new ones. Something that showed what we were. That when you looked at it, you knew this is what it was. So she did it, and she designed 3 beavers, and she even named him Bunsen. So now he's Bunsen the Beaver. So in closing, if you haven't done the community survey, grab your phone, scan the QR code, and vote. It's y'all's choice. It's everybody's choice. We're leaving it up to the community. So take your phones and go ahead and vote if you haven't.
I need to know which one's leading. Do we know who's leading
I
yet?
can't tell you because it may upset my instructional coach who's sitting behind me. I'm trying to keep it from her for now. I don't want her going out and, pressuring people to vote for hers.
Here's a key question. Are these AI generated? They are?
They were with the help of AI, yes.
Perfect. That's all.
Yes. Just gonna let her do that. She is our Embrace the Beaver ambassador.
Well, I like them all. I saw.
I do too.
How clever. I mean, you can't lose.
No, I don't think
Can't
so.
lose. Whichever
I don't
one is
think so.
selected, they're great.
Yeah. So it's exciting. I'll spend January doing the, how. I start in January in San Antonio working on the how. We got the what and the why, now we gotta, the how's the hardest part. So.
Do we know yet about the population? I mean, I know that it's going to be incorporated by different grade levels, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And
ma'am.
so it will take a few years to fill up the STEM across all of the whole campus.
Yes, we'll start with kindergarten to second.
Okay.
And the 3rd through 5th will remain. We've been discussing plans to keep the school gelled together. I don't want to separate it. I don't want any child to feel separated. There's another engineering company, and they're called EIE, and they do the same kind of project Lead the Way. So I want to be able to give the 3rd through 5th graders exposure to it.
Right.
And so we're kind of working on our schedule right now on how the person we have running Project Lead the Way can do that and introduce coding and get them at least introduced to that engineering design process and give them exposure. And when we do campus events, include them.
Well, and I guess what I'm wondering is that I know it's not going to be day one, but is the plan to take this program up to the capacity of the school? It's not a program capacity, it's going to be a space capacity for the campus.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the goal. As we've looked at things with 3 teachers in each grade level, I would love to keep it at 18 to 20 per class, but as you know, we can go to 22. So to start with kindergarten and stuff, 18 to 20. So that would be 60.
So this next year we'll have K through
2.
2,
Mm-hmm.
and then will it just then?
The
like
next year will be
waterfall up,
3rd and 4th,
Okay, so you'll add 2 at a time?
and then the last year will be 5th grade, yes.
So it'll take 3 years to get everybody in, and those kids will still keep moving up.
So you'll have to recruit
They're gonna
kids
be,
in at the 4th grade level though? Can you recruit? You get what I'm saying? Like if you're going up, then. Can
Like,
you move
I
in?
feel like that's
in 4th
awkward.
grade, right?
Yes.
Like if you have, how does that work?
So
Yes.
they can, each year, there will be an application process that's open to transfer to that campus. They don't have to start in the program as a kindergartner to end up as a 3rd grader, 4th grader, 5th grader. So as we bring on those additional grade levels, we will open up a similar process to what you see in January to try to gain interest. Now, you still have kids that are enrollment zoned to that area. So if those kids are, interested, and that's the school that they choose, then as far as the rubric is concerned, because that's in their enrollment zone, that's where they'll go if they choose to go there. But then you'll have kids from other attendance zones who may want to go there too. And so when we open up 4th grade, you may have a kid hop over from a different campus to a seat at Brook Hollow because now 4th grade STEM is open for them.
Once you're in, you don't have to re-lotto every year?
No, once you're in, you're in.
But there may be spots that open up for if a student moves away, then that will open up a spot for in that grade level for another student, even if it was previously at full capacity.
And the goal is to create that pipeline where they finish 5th grade and they're walking into 6th grade STEM and they're taking that algebra readiness or algebra in 8th grade and going STEM all the way through.
So how many seats do we anticipate for this next year to be open? So when I have all those parents ask.
So we're looking to scale. Right now so the survey closes tomorrow for STEM. We're going to be following that up with some of the results from it to share with the community as well as get an interest so that we know how many seats that we're building. So, we want want to ensure that we're looking at the demand of our community and filling those seats. And so we'll be able to create that, and then in the event that there is a wait list, because if we do reach the full numbers, again, individuals would be on the wait list, but if a spot opened up, we would contact them.
Okay. Thanks.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Then I'll be back in the spring to tell you how.
And in closing, we did just want one point of clarity. Project Lead the Way was used at the high school in the past, and the middle school actually a number of years ago. With the current partnership with SFA and that STEM program, they're no longer using Project Lead the Way, but I know Ms. McManus is looking at opportunities to potentially bring it back.
Anybody have any other? Okay.
I do have a question for Dr. Fairchild. Going back to the community survey, the extended school year, elementary, it would appear that does not have much support, but I know you worked at SGS school before, and how does that compare with the amount? I would imagine that that's something that wouldn't seem to be popular, that wouldn't score well on a survey. So how does that compare to the interest other places?
So it is very community specific. And so, there's some communities, it's also known as ADSY, Additional School Day Year program. And so there's some communities, for example, Aldine ISD, where it's very popular. In other communities, a lot of it is those ties, certain families really like that time during the summer with their kids to be able to go take vacations or do family things. Other times it's tied also to looking at the grade levels, because under a ADSY or extended school year, you can actually only do it at elementary and middle. So then you have one student who's off track. And so there are some elements, amazing teachers also like their summer so that they can come up with some amazing new concepts and rest. And so the vast majority of the survey, it wasn't students. We only had 3% response rate from students, but 70% were parents, and they were able to select multiple. So we had 70% were parents and 40% were either staff or parents and staff or other groups. And so, that is bringing into their perspectives as well. It tries to bring in like the year-round aspect into it. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just want to commend both of you. This is exciting for Lufkin ISD. This is transformational. This is where the vision is for our district for the future. So thank you for the roles that you, and I know so many others in this room, have been working on it. So thank you very much for a great report. All right, next up, Adriana Solis is going to give us our bilingual ESL annual program report.
All right, good evening, everybody. How's everybody? Lots of great things happening for our students, so definitely excited about that. So I am here to walk you through the annual bilingual and ESL program evaluation report for 24-25 school year. You all have the report in front of you, so I'm just going to highlight a few of the things, and of course if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. So there on the first page you're going to see just an overview of the student numbers that were serviced through our programs in our department. When you see alternative bilingual program, what that means is that those classrooms have teachers that are either working on their teaching certification or their bilingual or ESL supplemental certification. So they're uncertified at the present time. That's why they're listed as alternative. So you see that the total number of our EBs for the last school year. I also noted here our students that reclassify, meet that criteria, they go into a year 1 and year 2 monitored status. So they're no longer classified as EB, but I thought it was important to list here because we still service and monitor those students for an additional 2 years. And then also you're going to see the total non-emergent bilingual students that participate in our K-5 dual language program, because those are also students that we service through our department. Even though they're not identified as emergent bilinguals, we still service them through our program and, of course, monitoring from our department. So I wanted you to see that information there. Any questions there? Just a quick overview. All right. So on the next page, you're going to see a summary of the ESL and bilingual programs that are offered in our district. There is no change to those programs. Those are the same. All right.
Is transitional the same as the one-way dual?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Just different things.
Yes. When they move into the, sorry, there's a little spider here. So when they move into the elementary grades, the program one-way dual becomes transitional because all of the instruction in those classrooms are now English, but the students are all emergent bilingual students in those classrooms. Any other questions? All right. So the next part, the emergent bilingual students by campus, that's just an overview of where all of our EB students are sitting and the percentages on those particular campuses. All right. So now I'm on the TELPAS English Learner Proficiency page, and that is part of our accountability for Domain 3. And so campuses earn points based on by meeting the percentage targets that are outlined for their grade bands, and you can see those there. Have the information listed for the past 2 school years, and those students give those campuses toward that percentage by earning either an advanced high in at least 2 of the 4 language domains, or showing growth in at least 2 of the 4 language domains. Meaning I was at beginning last year, I'm an intermediate, that's the growth that's shown. So you can see that information there based on, for each of the campuses. Any questions? All right. And then we'll move right along to our English learner academic progress. Now, this information comes from the results driven accountability, the RDA report. And this is the STAR data for our EB kids. Now, this only includes our EB kids, either in our bilingual or ESL programs. And you can see that information there for the past 2 years. And it also breaks it apart into those students that are being served in the alternative program with the uncertified teachers, and then those that are with our regular program, the certified teachers. There. Any questions? No? We're good? All right. So then the next part are EB reclassifications. You can see the results from the past 2 years. Now, these are the students that have met that reclassification criteria to no longer be identified as an emergent bilingual student. And these are the students that go into the year 1 monitored the following year. So right now, the students from 24-25 are in their year 1 of being monitored this year. Any questions there? If I'm going too fast, please tell me. Look, I'm just racing through this. Okay, so then we come to our newcomer support. So the past 2 years, we have really been working to support our newcomers. And one of the things that we worked on in 23-24 is during the summer is how could we meet that language need of those students. And so we opened up an elementary class for our newcomers only. Specifically, we invited them. And all we did during summer school was we hit all of the language foundation skills, English language foundation skills. So that helps, and this was for our elementary, so that really helps those teachers, so when they go back, they've already got that foundation of the skills. So last year we were able to include more students, and as you can see there, we even included our 6th and 7th graders from last year, and it was just great. We had our teachers there. We were able to help our teacher know how to help those students when they went back. And we had able to include some of our primary students there. So, see that there. All right, then our next section for our bilingual and ESL certifications, there we are required to report on all of our teachers, their certification standing, and we are required also to provide professional development for them, as well as monitor them specifically throughout the year in how they are progressing toward that certification. And so you can see there where we stand for our bilingual and as well as our ESL teachers. And then some of the things that we do as a district and supports that we provide for them, and those are ongoing. All right, and then just the next few pages, which you're going to see, I'm not going to read through all that, but all of that is what you see there are things that our department has worked through in providing these supports for these teachers in these campuses, whether it's something that we initiated from our department, collaboration with Region 7. Last year we were able to also partner with SFA and the Project Raices to be able to provide professional development for those teachers that were needing that certification. And sadly that has ended. So they are no longer providing those services. So we're building our own district workshops that we've already finished. We finished our first two this past couple of weeks ago. We had it in the fall, and we had a really good turnout. We really did. And so, and that's the plan, is that we're going to provide more of those services from our department. And then the last thing there, just the parent engagement pieces and events that we attended or that were held through our department to to support our families as well.
What kind of attendance do you have at the family events?
It depends. If it is, we had quite a few over the summer at school. They come better to the schools. We've had them at our in our building, and the attendance is a little low. But we've also last year we were able to partner with the Kirk Memorial Library to be able to provide some of that. That was a great turnout. So it just depends on the venue, and of course, like with everybody else, having that parent support to come to additional things has been difficult. So we've really been working hard to partner with the campuses. What are they doing, and what can we bring there?
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much.
Ms. Lilly, thank you. I appreciate the data.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, now we're to the Administrative Services Office report with Dr. Spikes.
Yeah, my report begins on page 71, contains recent hires, resignations, vacancy information, and on-the-job injuries. My support services report begins on page 74, and I just want to draw your attention to the fact that half of our campuses have undergone their intruder detection audit, and all have passed with flying colors, no findings. So kudos to our campuses, our campus leaders, and our resource officers who have been doing a wonderful job keeping our campuses safe, and our new safety coordinator.
All right, thank you for that. We're going to move an item further down in the agenda, item number 13, just for way of doing things in a correct order. Item number 13 is discussion and possible board approval of a resolution to accept a donation from the Lufkin Sideliners Club for weight room improvements at Lufkin High School and to amend the budget accordingly. And I'll ask Mr. Weddington to go over that for us.
Yeah, so we're bringing a resolution to you all tonight to accept the donation from the Lufkin Sideliners. The amount of the donation is $135,000 or $135,055. It is going to go towards helping replace some of the outdated equipment in the indoor training facility.
Okay. It's quite a nice donation.
Very nice.
Because that's something we discussed as a board, needing some improvement, so having them step up, that is huge.
Is this an action item?
It is an action item.
I wanna do it.
I wanna do it.
Part of we allocated out of our, I believe in the August board meeting, $180,000 from the district to go along with buying the band truck and several other things. So this was kind of a balance to order and do everything right. And so I just wanted to acknowledge Chris Johnson and GBCS, he made a big commitment to help make this happen so that all of it could be done now instead of in phases. And so that needs to be acknowledged. What a great partner he is in his business. So I'll make the motion that we approve the donation.
I'll second it. We all want to second it.
I'm just eating a Whataburger tonight.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to accept the donation from the Lufkin Sideliners Club to be used for the weight room improvements at Lufkin High School. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that? That motion carries. Okay, next we're gonna go into the consent agenda. First item up here is with Dr. Hockenberry for, previous meeting minutes.
Those are listed in your board book, starting on page 76 as written. Happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Okay, the next is, Dr. Spikes with the professional and personnel monthly report.
Nothing in addition to what I presented in the informational report, just that you will have to take action to approve the hires. Any termination.
Okay, and these were all provided to us ahead of time. Next up, Mr. Wellington, expenditures for October, the budget amendment, and the purchases over $50,000.
So starting on page 81, we have the checks over 3,000, the invoices over 10, and our monthly check register. If nobody has any questions, we'll move on. Starting on page 99, we have the budget amendment. There's a net change of 0, but we are going to be increasing our state revenue and as well as our expenditures by $10,500. This is due to the TIA designation payment that we have to make every year. At the beginning of the year, when we set the budget, we really had no way of knowing how many teachers we actually are going to submit for designation, but this is reimbursed through the state, so it is a net effect of 0 on the budget. And then on page 103, we have the purchases over 50,000 that we're requesting y'all to approve before meetings. This includes the weapon detectors and the athletic equipment.
So, when we look at this, what I'm gonna propose is that we consider the consent agenda and remove the item 7.5 purchases over 50 and save it, because we do need to have a discussion about the other item that's listed on here first. So if you would consider, on the consent agenda, everything except for the purchases over 50,000 as an action item.
So,
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items, 7.1 to 7.4. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that? Okay, that motion carries. So then we're gonna skip over next to item number 8, the discussion and possible board approval of the purchase of metal detectors at Lufkin High School and Lufkin Middle School. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Hockenberry for that.
So we're making a recommendation to purchase weapon detectors, metal detectors for Lufkin High School and Middle School. Dr. Spikes, feel free to jump in. We're gonna total of 6, 3 at the high school, 3 at the middle school. We did demo those the other night with great success. I was able to witness that myself for 15 to 20 minutes. I know others, some of you in the room were participating in that, and it's quite impressive. I'm very impressed with the technology and what it's able to do and how it's going to accommodate, I think, some of the concerns that we would have normally in other schools or other entities may have had in the past with how time consuming the process can be. This kind of technology allows for rapid movement through the system and quick identification without much slowing down of a line or access into a building. In my observation, the first few days will be difficult. I mean, it'll be new. We're going to be more mindful of looking at every little detail, and we'll still be learning the system, but it's time, and we need to take this step to deter, prevent, and to ensure that the community, staff, and parents and anybody involved in our school systems know that we're doing everything we can to keep our schools extraordinarily safe. And this is one giant step that will have a great impact.
I went Tuesday night. We just missed each other. He was there, and then I came afterwards. If I asked one question, I asked 50. And I could not have been more impressed with how the system works. They let me stand there. They ran people through with dummy things to show me what it would do. It was just so impressive. The thing I like for our school system, I think the technology is excellent about finding things that could be questionable. But what I really like is how fast it is. Groups of kids can be chatting, they just walk through together. It's not like a one at a time, oh, the buzzer went off. The kids just go through. The system will quickly, it will emit a sound, it will put a box on the person that they need to have step aside and look to see if it's okay. But the kids just keep walking through. You just walk through at a pace. It's that fast. And it doesn't need to be one student at a time. They just walk through just like they're chatting with their friends, and they just go through, a pretty wide area that it picks up. And so I think it would be the least disruptive, but the technology was impressive about how you can have a group of people and it can still see everything that it needs to. And anyway, it was, I was just really surprised at how well it worked, and every question that I had, they were able to answer it to my satisfaction. We sent Mr. Miharis, is he here tonight? We sent him through with some dummy things to test it out, to see how it would catch things, and it worked every time. And I'm excited about having this technology. It's really, really good.
Does it pick up vapes and cell phones, those kinds of things?
It will pick up things other than just like a weapon. Yeah, and so some of it is how they can calibrate the system. And so as kids get used to the things that they need to take out and remove, like umbrellas will not go through it. A laptop needs to be removed. So there's certain things, and as the kids start learning, oh, I've got to take these out to go through, then they can calibrate that system where it will be even finer tuned. So I don't know, Ms. McManus, do you have any comments about it, or?
I was excited to see it. Just being able to see the iPad and watch it come through and listen to the sound, like just get a little bit more comfortable. That was the first time I had seen it. And then what it looks like as someone goes over to the table to have their item checked. The box that you were referring to, like if it's on the front of the person or on the back of the person, really the iPad shows you that. The bigger the item is, the bigger the box was. And so we were happy to see it and welcome the idea of the detectors at the high school.
What's the plan for manning them, staff?
Yeah.
Is it security?
Working through that
LPD?
as we speak. That is a very popular question right now.
Yeah.
But that's also a great benefit of this. The manpower is not as extraordinary as you might have once had in the past. And it's not so tight, it's not so restricted, but it's just an impressive system.
It's one of the reasons we chose this system too. We went and saw it in Humble ISD at Tascasita, and it was very efficient, didn't require as much manpower.
It'd be like just going to the Astros game.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
like the Astros game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I understand that we have a more limited system right now at the Hackney campus, and that this does include a different type of machine to add to that in this.
It's a different system altogether, so
Right.
Hackney would be.
So is that going to be a separate thing later, or is that included in this?
It's separate, but it's below the threshold, so it's not
Okay,
very
okay.
expensive.
But my point too is that we're talking about LHS, LMS, but this will cover every student from sixth grade up
Correct.
within our district.
Correct.
No matter which campus they're on.
Correct.
So since we're only putting 3 in at each campus, are there only 3 entry points for the students?
Right.
That'll be
That's the goal.
plan.
Okay, like even like people that are in athletics are all gonna be routed at second period or like through a certain entry point?
All of that will be established.
Okay.
They're already working on that
Okay.
now, but yes, you're.
I was curious, that was one of the questions.
We're
somebody
gonna have,
asked
we're gonna
over
have
the
to
weekend.
reorganize some things so that everybody passes through.
Okay.
Dr. Spikes,
Yes.
you know, the timing of this, there's an appearance that we are reacting to last week,
To last
right?
week's.
I want you to speak to the process. This has been a work in progress. Would you take a minute or so to talk through this? It's just ironic that things kind of are happening at the same time, but.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for quite some time. Matter of fact, we developed a subcommittee from the Safety and Security Committee, and we actually, like I mentioned earlier, we went out and toured some school districts. We looked at some systems. Matter of fact, we have people in the room. Ms. Jackson was on the subcommittee, Josh Williams, Heath. There's a few others, but again, we did some, sorry if I'm missing some people, Chief Garza, Ms. Nava here? Ms. Nava, she is our safety coordinator, all right? So we've been doing a lot of background work just to determine the feasibility because it's always been on our radar, right? Obviously, the last couple of incidents escalated, and so Dr. Hockenberry, the leadership team, we've all been talking about it and trying to figure out when and if, and then those 2 incidents happened, and I got a text from him when I was in Lubbock, he was like, it's time. so here we are.
Well, and I too, I want to emphasize that the safety committee for Lufkin ISD works really well. We've got great representation across from different security organizations, Lufkin PD, the Sheriff's Department, Emergency Management Services, through the county, in that it is a very, very good committee that takes the safety of our students and our staff really seriously. And so this is something that came up months ago that we talked about right after the start of school. And so that's how long they've already been working on this. This was not a snap decision. It is not a knee-jerk reaction. They've made a careful and wise decision after months of work and looking at different systems to make sure that we selected the best one for us. So,
Further evidence of that, Ms. Tierney can speak to this. We had applied for a grant last year looking at metal detector. That's how we're able to fund some of this, right? Because we now received the grant and it's geared towards purchasing weapons detectors or metal detectors.
So we appreciate the community raising issues for the district. And this is just to show evidence that the district is responding to concerns in the community and that we take it very seriously.
Ms. Jackson's been on this for about 2 years, so.
And going back to Dr. Paracel's presentation, I do believe, like, when we account for that 20% of the kids that are elsewhere, of the 1,500 kids that are gone, if 10% of those are gone because of safety, I think this would help make this a school of choice, district of choice.
Well said, and I think the data will show that.
I think we're on the same page.
Yes,
here.
we are.
Yeah. All right, so this is an item of action for the metal detectors.
Motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of metal detectors to be used at Lufkin High School and Lufkin Middle School. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now we need to circle back up to item 7.5 and an action item for purchases over $50,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve purchases over $50,000 as outlined. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed to that? That motion carries. Okay, now we're back on regular agenda time. Item number 9, discussion and possible board approval of the fall 2025 library materials list in compliance with SB 13 and EFB local. And I'll turn that over to Ms. Tierney.
Okay, so you'll remember at the last legislative session,
part of what was approved was Senate Bill 13, which requires a policy about the acquisition of library materials and the process for that. So in July of 25, y'all passed the board policy for that, BFB. And the next step in that process was to visit with our librarians and ask them for a list of books at each level, primary, elementary, all the way up. And we got their lists on materials that they wanted us to be able to purchase. And a requirement of Senate Bill 13 was to post that online. And it went online on October the 13th, and it's been up for a considerable amount of time, more than 30 days. And we also asked for feedback on the books, and we had a challenge form posted as well, and we have not received any feedback on that. So tonight, we ask that y'all approve the list of books that are linked in the document on page 104 as provided, as presented. Any questions on it?
And I'm assuming that even after this, if someone in the community wants to complete a challenge form, that's in the process that we address those as they come up?
Yes.
Under this policy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Need a motion?
We do.
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve it as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the fall 2025 library materials list in compliance with SB 13 and EFB local. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed to that? And that motion carries. Okay, moving on, item number 10, discussion and possible board approval of job title changes, and this is to Ms. Gaston.
Okay, we've got a couple of jobs that we currently don't have employees in that we want to update the actual job title and job description to reflect what we've identified over the last few months as additional needs for the district. Traditionally, our teacher incentive allotment employee was a part-time employee, but as we've gone through really the last year, we understand, and it did show up in the QSA tonight, that we need to expand that program and offer that opportunity to as many teachers as possible within the district. And so we're looking to hire a full-time position and change that from not only just the teacher incentive allotment, but other teacher growth programs as well. So whether that's grow your own programs, where we will develop programs to pull up paras and other degreed individuals to a certification level, or those clinical interns that we have with SFA. We've also been talking to Sam Houston and trying to create a program with them to enhance our recruitment efforts to get certified teachers to our district. So we're broadening the scope of that position from just teacher incentive allotment to a strategic educator development position, so that we are developing our teachers from within and recruiting them from outside, and then granting all of our teachers the opportunity over time to access those teacher incentive allotments. The other position is the director of CTE. That position also needs to be updated to include a broader scope that goes across all post-secondary readiness. So that position will be developed into a career in technology and post-secondary readiness. As we develop programs, just like ECHS, it started out as a program to obtain that associate's degree, but we're seeing more and more kids get CTE certificates within that program. As we talk about building out a P-TECH program, it's the same thing, just the emphasis is in different places. So that's really a certificate-driven program, but kids are going into dual credit classes as well. So we have a lot of overlap throughout the programs that influence that CCMR rating for the school and the success of our kids through there. And so that position really needs to be a broader scope position that's looking at all of those things simultaneously so that we can make sure that we're giving our kids the best opportunities and opening as many doors as possible as they go through our programs.
Make a motion to approve.
Wait a second, I have a comment. You convinced me, because the first one, I was thinking, why do we need someone full-time? So you gave a lot of evidence of what they're gonna be doing.
Oh, good.
So I appreciate that. But I would like to request, can we get, like a time, I would like to know what all they're doing. Like if we're improving the grade around or some of those other things that you said beyond the TIA. After we get this person hired, I would like to make sure that we have some type of reporting from the board on what we're doing to justify that.
Yeah, sure.
Much needed full-time position. I'd like to know what they're doing.
Okay.
Do we need a waiting for that to make a motion?
No, you got it.
All right, motion to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the 2 job title changes as outlined by Ms. Gaston. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that? That motion carries. Item number 11, discussion and possible board approval of specific substitute pay structures. Dr. Spikes.
Before I do that, I want to acknowledge Ms. Ariana as well, who's helped us a great deal. And then Julie, who mentioned metal detectors to us a couple of years ago, so thank you. I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge that earlier. But sub rates, so in the compensation plan, what we are trying to do is increase the sub rate for our student nutrition specialists, because obviously Ms. Falk is she's struggling, trying to find some subs for that position, and a lot of that has to do with the pay. And so that we don't have to bring it back to you every time, we have designated that we would just like to add it to our compensation plan, that it be the 80% of the starting pay for whatever it may be on any given year. We're also entering a substitute category for our new preschool, excuse me, not preschool, what do we call it? Our Cubs, there you go. Our daycare, that's the word. Okay, daycare. So yeah, so we're also trying to get subs for them as well, and so we're creating a category in the compensation plan for them. Again, 80% of the starting salary for that particular role. I believe their starting salary is 15, and the starting salary for our student nutrition specialists right now is $15.42.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve the specific substitute pay structure changes recommended by Dr. Spikes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that? That motion carries. Okay, item number 12, discussion of possible board approval of a resolution to cast votes for the Angelina County Appraisal District Board of Directors. Dr. Hockenberry.
That item begins on page 109 in the board book, and the resolution is on 110. In summary, there are 2 seats that are open with 2 nominees. We have an allotment of 534 votes out of a total of 2,000 based on the size of our contribution to the CAD. In talking to the other entities involved, I'm recommending that we split our votes between the 2 nominees, which they're both incumbents and the only 2 seeking seats on the board. Does that make sense?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution to cast votes for the Angelina County Appraisal District Board of Directors to be split between the 2 nominees, Jimmy Ford and Gilbert J. Garza. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed to that? And that motion carries. Okay, we covered item number 13, so we're gonna move to item number 14. The board will now convene into a closed meeting at 6:42 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, Subchapters D and E, or Texas Government Code 418.183F. No action will be taken during the closed meeting. Okay, it is now 7:18 PM and the board will reconvene in open session. Item number 16, board request for new information and or reports. Anybody have anything?
Ready to leave this now? I think I just run across the room, but
Okay. All right, with that, then we are adjourned at 7:19 PM.
Everybody else see you.